listeners. Welcome to your final episode of Romance Unraveled. This is your host, Jacob Bozen. And for the final episode, I have my best friend with us, Abigail Collings. If you're a loyal listener, you know exactly who she is. She's been on a few times, has had a few stories with us. It doesn't really matter, I guess, but Abby, let's have you introduce yourself since someone might not know you, but I think that they do.
Yeah, fair enough. Hopefully, you do know who I am by now if you've been following along. But my name is Abigail. Like Jacob said, we've been best friends for forever, basically, since we were kids. And yeah, I mean, I'm a Utah native, I'm a therapist. Those are a few things about me, I guess. But I'm just excited to wrap up the show with you today. Bittersweet.
Yes. It is going to be an interesting story. I actually sent Abby a list of stories, and I had her choose which one. I had more that I could have sent, of course, but these are kind of like the ones I've been holding in my back pocket.
Hmm,
And
right.
so this story for our final episode is actually going to be about my most recent breakup, which happened
Woohoo!
it must have been February. Does that seem right, Abby?
Yeah, I think so.
Or January? I don't know. One
Were
of the
you still together at Valentine's Day? That's a good marker.
it was right before Valentine's Day.
Okay, so
So
February.
probably, yeah. So I had when I was in DC, because I lived there for 3 years, when I would come back and visit Utah, for holidays or whatever it was, of course, I would be on the apps checking to see who's here. And one of these guys I ran into, I had had my eye on for quite some time. So we would always match when I would come home. We can call him Kyle for
Kyle.
our purposes. I could be really mean and give you his real name, so let's see what happens. Um, so Kyle and I would match on like Tinder, Hinge. We would also talk on Grindr, because I have to do all of the apps. And um, he, I told him, I said, if I ever move back to Utah, like I'm gonna take you out on a date.
Hmm.
He says, okay, great. So I finally do actually end up moving back to Utah last July. And of course, we start talking on Instagram. And I'm like, hey, I moved back. Let's go out and do something. And he says, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm flattered, but I'm actually like seeing somebody right now.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's usually how it goes, but that's fine. I have more interests in other people anyway, so that's
Yeah,
so
I have other options basically.
yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like a huge thing for me. I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever.
Hmm.
So goes about maybe 2, 3-ish months. And he had posted a thing on his story saying that he was single again or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I hit him up, of course, and we planned our first date. We went to City Creek Mall and we really hit it off. On our date, he told me that he was in the progress for being a police officer and that
Hmm.
he currently worked at Jack in the Box.
This is gonna get more detailed, or like people are gonna know who you're talking
No, I
about.
don't care. And he'll live for this. He keeps checking the accounts even though
That's why
he's
I
been
wanted you to tell this story because we know you're listening, so I hope you enjoy hearing your own story.
right. And so he's like, "Yeah, I want to be a police officer." Um he actually didn't end up telling me. I don't know if I told you this, Abby, that he had like this fantasy about being, or like he had a gut feeling that he was going to be shot and
What?
he would
A
die.
fantasy or a gut feeling? Those are some different things.
Let's go with gut feeling. I don't want to make it sound incorrect. So,
Okay.
like gut feeling that like he would end up dying by being shot, but then he wants to go and be a police officer. So that was kind of concerning for me, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he wants to be a police officer. That's kind of hot. Like
Yeah.
a gay police officer. Like I'm the more dominant one in the relationships, but I can deal with a police officer bottom. That's okay.
In uniform, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. And the thing about me is, and you can say your opinion on this, Abby. I have somewhat high standards
Mm,
of what I go for and what I expect out of people. And one of those things is ambition and education.
correct.
And him being ambitious to be a police officer was attractive to me. Um, but he did not have like the level of education. So I have a master's degree and then he was like a college dropout.
Hmm.
So like doesn't even have an
Which,
associate degree, which is kind of concerning to me, but it wasn't a deal breaker.
right. I think that it is important to specify like you wouldn't be in a situation like going out with someone or getting to know someone and immediately end it if you find out they're not like a college graduate or something. But your
Right.
preference would be that they can like match your intellect and your ambition,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
which is totally fine.
Yeah. So we hit it off. We got along really well. Like we really trash talked the gays and how crazy they are about like their open relationships and
Sure.
like promiscuity, even though I can be as well. Like, you know, but like let's put
Yeah.
me at like level one and them at level 10. And yeah, so like we connected that way. And so we just kind of started seeing each other pretty regularly. And one of the things that I think is important to know is we didn't have sex like until after we were considered boyfriends.
Yeah, when you were exclusive.
Yeah. So that is like not normal.
Yeah,
Like
for
at
you,
least in
yeah.
my experience and like just the gay experience in general. And honestly, I think for straight people at this point too, is usually those things kind of happen pretty quickly now.
Yeah.
And I think that's not a bad thing that they do. I just don't think that they should happen immediately. And so this was like one of the first times where like it didn't happen at all. Like we would do things, but like it wasn't the actual act of it all, I guess I could say. And so we just dated, and then finally I asked him to be my boyfriend, and
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, great, amazing, let's do it." And then I started bringing him to like family things and friend things.
Hmm.
And like this was around the holidays, so like we did Thanksgiving together, we did um Christmas,
Yeah.
we did New Year's Eve, and so like this was the first time that I had ever like brought a boy around to any of those events because I'm usually single during the holidays. Like I usually have boyfriends when it's not the holidays.
Right. You're like the opposite of cuffing season.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and everyone generally liked Kyle. I think that's what I chose for his name.
Yeah. Kyle.
And everyone generally liked him. They thought he was nice. They didn't think that, like, as far as where we stand in life, that he was like good enough for me.
Hmm.
As far as like education level, ambition, the whole thing. So turns out he's trying to go for to be a police officer, and he gets denied on his background investigation. And
Hmm.
we're trying to figure out why he gets denied, the whole thing. And he's like, I have no idea. And I'm like, well, they don't deny people just to deny people, so there's
Hmm.
obviously something. So turns out they ended up denying him for like psychological issues,
Hmm.
which I mean, as we get along here, I think it will become apparent. Um, so
Okay,
that was
that's a bit extreme.
that was concerning to me because I was like, why, like, that is not normal things to be denied for. Like, there's something that has happened or things that are currently going on that you're not telling me? And
Hmm.
he's like, well, I did used to be on like antidepressants a few years ago,
Hmm.
and apparently that's enough to like, I don't know, put you out of the
Disqualify
process,
you.
but they permanently disqualified him. Okay.
Yeah, that's something I'm very curious about and was at the time too, because I have a hard time believing that's enough to permanently disqualify you.
For sure. Like, for sure. So that was concerning to me, but of course, what do? I'm like, I'm already like chest deep in this.
Yeah.
I like,
Yeah, and you
who
tried to
cares?
ask about it. You tried to communicate and like get more information and you just didn't really get anything.
Right. Yeah. So that was that. So that was like a red flag, number one.
Hmm.
Our series of red flags that we're about to run into here is there's a few of them. So Abby knows this. Like, I'm a very sexual person. Like, I just
Hmm.
am. I I just enjoy it. I like it's an important thing about my relationships that I have,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And I think it should be with everybody else too. And he totally was not.
Right.
So, first of all, like being a bottom was like a new thing for him. He
Right.
was normally a top, and that's what I am. And so, me being the more dominant one kind of pushed him into the position of being bottom.
Sure.
And normally, like, at least from my perspective, especially people our age, Abby, like sex is probably something that happens a lot or should happen a lot with people our age and especially with two gay men. Like we have the most sex out of
Yeah.
everybody. Like let's be for real about this. We
Statistically, demographically, there might be something to that, yes.
we had sex probably once a month, if that.
Yeah.
Okay. That is not normal. It's not like we're 80-year-old grandpas over here.
Mm.
Like, that's not normal. And I kept complaining about it to my friends and people who knew about the situation. And I would just ask, is this normal? Like, this is not
Hmm.
normal. Totally is not normal. And I just was trying to figure out a way how to approach him on
Hmm.
because he told me that he would have like no sex breaks.
Right. Where
And
he would just go periods of time, like months at a time, just not having sex.
right. And these have
Which,
been
like, I know we're doing like bullet points of this story. So listeners just know there were more like in-depth conversations about this, and it wasn't just as simple as Jacob was the dominant one, and so then Kyle was like pushed into this position he didn't want to be in. I think that's important to mention.
for sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I was very compromising and very flexible. Probably the
Yes,
most flexible that I have been in a long time.
I would agree with that.
And yeah, he's like, I have these no sex phases. And I'm like, okay, are you in your phase now? And he's like, well, I think I'm going to be going into one.
Hmm.
And I'm like, talk to me more about that. How long do those last? He's like, oh, they can last months. My last one that I had lasted a year.
Right.
And I'm sitting here thinking, you have got something deeper going on here because this is not normal. This is not normal at all.
Mm.
Like, we're men, gay men. This is not normal.
I think the only thing that I want to say here, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but where my perspective is a little bit different is I think maybe it's not just like what's normal or not normal, because that's like your experience or your perspective. But in a relationship, there's needs going both ways, and there's a lot of conversation about how needs are met. So it's not like it's immediately bad or wrong if someone goes through periods where they're not having sex or they choose that or whatever. But when you're communicating with your partner and not really making it a conversation, just more of a statement of, oh, well, I guess we're just going to not be having sex and not actually talking about what that means or what your partner's needs are, that's very not normal.
For sure. And like his main thing was he's like, "Oh, I love cuddling." Great.
Yeah.
I do too. But then I would get all worked up during cuddling and it just would stop and then it's just frustrating. Like it's so
Yeah.
annoying. And so we were at my sister's for I believe it was New Year's Eve. And my sister's friend, so Kyle is like pretty drunk. Okay, he's not like anything bad or anything, but like he's had a few drinks and he's feeling it. My sister's friend just says to some of us, "Oh, doctor suggests that men ejaculate like 21 times a month or something to avoid like prostate cancer or whatever."
Okay.
And Kyle says, "Well, I bypass that. Like I do way more than that."
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so we have two options here. Your first option is that you are cheating on me, which I didn't think was happening.
Yeah.
Or your second option is you are addicted to porn
Mm,
and you would rather do that than have an actual connection with another person.
right.
So that really threw me off. I was like, okay, well, now this is getting more deep because
Yeah.
there's some aspect to this where he's practically starving me of sex, but he has no problem saying in front of me that he will put his hand to it at least 21 times a month.
Right.
Like, let's be for real.
Yeah, something's not adding up there.
Yeah. So I just get more and more and more frustrated. And like one of the things that I do, and Abby knows this, is I like to call people. That's how I communicate. Like I'll text people, but I prefer to call them. It's just easier for me.
Hmm.
And I told him this. I said, I want you to call me. Like I'm only calling you or we're only texting. I need you to call me.
Hmm.
Do you think he calls me? We remained texting. So that was a big problem. So we had like these two main issues going on, and I thought, okay, I was talking with my friends. I said, I need to either handle this or I need to kick him to the curb.
Hmm.
And so I planned a day and time to talk with Kyle about all of these things. And I brought them up. I said, so tell me about this no sex phase thing you're in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like talk to me about that. And so he said, yeah, like this just happens to me where I just don't feel it at all. And the whole thing. And then I said, I said, Kyle, you real like, do you realize that this is not normal? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, people our age
Hmm.
do they have sex more than once a month?
Like physiologically, even if you're not actually out there sleeping with people, to not have any libido for a year at a time seems abnormal for sure.
Right. And he's like, what? He's like, really? And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, what do you think is normal? And I said, at this point, once a week would be normal for me.
Yeah,
And
and knowing you that again would still be kind of a concession of what you might prefer ideally.
well, for sure, like, hello. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, he's like, I'll work on it, whatever. So he agreed to work on that.
Yeah.
Then I brought up the calling thing, and I said, I need you to call me. Like, I want to hear your voice. I want to talk to
Hmm.
you. I'm done with this texting. Like, let's get a
Hmm.
grip. And he's like, okay, I'll call you and everything. And then there was one other thing, and it was important.
Oh, was it oh crap, now it just left my brain again. Was it, oh, you brought up this feedback to him to like try to talk about things and work on things, and he didn't give you any feedback until you brought stuff up. Do you
Yeah.
remember what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, like he brought some so after I was done giving him like my thoughts and everything, he came back
Mhm.
and he says, I asked him, I said, "Do you have anything that I need to work on?" And he said, "Yes." He's like, "I don't like when you put me into uncomfortable situations with your
Mhm.
family."
Right.
And I absolutely did do that. Like it was more of like a flirty kind of playful kind of thing. I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh, easy fix, done. I won't do that anymore."
Yeah.
Great. Easy. And then he said another thing, but I can't remember what it was. And then, so yeah, he agreed to everything. We'll work on this. This is great. Really like you, the whole thing. So then I leave the conversation feeling, oh, pretty good. Then
Hmm.
I also said to him, I said, here's the thing. Sure, do I kind of believe you that you don't have like the sex drive? Sure. But I'm like, if I find out that you
Mm.
are wasting the little that you have on porn instead of with me, you are done.
Mm.
And he didn't have any objections to it, nothing. So I leave the conversation feeling like, oh, well, we'll see what happens. I'll give him like another week or two to see if things improve. And if
Hmm.
they do, great. If they don't, well, then he's done for. So the following week comes. Do you think he calls me one time? Do you think he plans to see me one time? That was the
Right.
third thing. The third
Oh
thing
yeah.
was I was always the one planning for things to do for us. Like I
That's
was always the
right.
one inviting, I was always the one planning. Would he always show up? Yes. He never did not show up.
Yeah.
But it was always on my end. And I said, I need this to be 50-50 because it makes me anxious when it's not.
Hmm.
Totally agreed that that was something that he would work on as well.
Yeah.
So
And then
that was
just
the third.
made no real effort for it still.
Yeah. So yeah, does not call me the next week. Do you think he invited me to do a single thing the next week? No.
Mm.
So I did not because I was testing him. I was
Hmm.
like, no, I'm not inviting you. I'm not calling you. I will rarely text you if you can't figure this out.
Mm.
So he didn't. So I remember telling my friends, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kick him to the curb this weekend. I'll meet with him again and say, hey, you have made no improvement on any of this. We're done. Like, screw you.
Mm.
You lied to me saying that you would do these things, and then it's not even a week later and you haven't done a single one of them.
Yeah.
So that was my plan. Then
Mm.
it's a Friday morning, and
Early in the
yeah,
morning.
like 5 a.m. or
Yep.
something like this. And I wake up, and of course, one of the first things I do is check my phone. And I get this text that was written by the good old ChatGPT. And it reads, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I want to be honest with you. I have really enjoyed getting to know you and the time we spent together, but I don't feel like we are a right match long term. I'm realizing there are some long term incompatibilities for me that I do not see improving with time, and that this is what has led me to this decision. I don't want to keep going when my heart is not fully in it because that would not be fair to you. And I think it's better to do this now and be honest rather than drag this out.
Wow.
So I read this text and I'm like, not through the roof, surprisingly. I am like, of course, I tell people what happened, but I am like, well, it was going to happen tomorrow, anyways. And sounds like to me he was trying to beat me to the punch because he
Mm.
knew it was coming because he knew he couldn't meet my basic needs.
Right.
Like Abby, let's be for real, and I want you
A
to be
phone
honest on
call.
this. Like, was I asking out of the three things that I
Yeah.
asked, was I asking for much?
No, and I think that is really important to emphasize to the listeners because let's say there is a physiological thing going on Kyle's end that is affecting his libido, or maybe there's an emotional factor going on that's making sex like not a good thing for him right now. Even if we completely tabled that issue, when you're dating someone and have been dating someone for months and you can't even give them one phone call in any of that time, you can't take initiative to plan a single date in all of that time, and it's being directly asked for and like communicated about, yeah, that's just a no.
Yeah, for sure.
I do not believe you were asking for too much.
No, I don't think so either. And the funny thing is he was like practically a bedridden individual. So he would go to work and then he'd do work and then he'd come home and what would he do? He would lay in bed and watch TV all day. That was his life.
Yeah.
It was
So I
nothing
think that
beyond.
does speak to like more of a mental health thing, like we already referenced he experiences some psychiatric or mental health issues, which is fine. Like that's not something to hold against anybody, but something to consider also is like, are you working on it? Are you trying to support yourself? Are you doing anything, you know?
Right. And you know me, I'm on the go like all the time. I
Yeah.
don't lay in bed. Like, are
No.
you kidding? That is ridiculous to me. Like,
Mm.
at least from my experience. I know
Yeah.
people like to do that, but no. Like, we would just do that all the time if it was at his apartment, and then I had us going, doing things all the time outside of that. So maybe
Hmm.
it was too exhausting, but who knows? And so I get this text that I just read to you, and I replied later that night, and I said, "You seriously have such a low amount of respect for me that you're doing this over text." Because it is rude, number one. Number
Hmm.
two, I brought my concerns to him in person, and I was going to break up with him in person that next day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide behind my screen and probably watch porn at the same time
Oh no.
and whatever. Okay. So he never replied. So, Abby, you were with me at my apartment, and I'm like, maybe I should just call him.
Hmm.
So I call him. Does he answer? Absolutely not. So I left him a message and I said, "Hey, like, let's be adults here. Let's handle this. Let's close this out the right way in
Hmm.
person." And I said, "And if you do not, you have until like I think midnight or something," I said, "and I will stoop to your level if you do not." And did he ever call or text back? Absolutely not. So
No.
this is the text that I sent to him, and this is probably going to be about a 2 minute long thing, but who cares?
Boy.
I said, "Since you disrespected me by one, doing this over text, and two, by hiding behind your phone like a coward, gloves are off. We both know that if this was reversed and I was the one disappearing without explaining, you'd be going off the overthinking rails. Thanks for making this so much easier for me. I am disappointed but not surprised. I was planning on having a follow-up conversation because you made no improvement with your behavior since our last conversation. I was planning on kicking you to the curb this weekend. Many have been telling me to, but I wanted to give you a chance. You sent me a text at 5:45 in the morning, knowing very well that I will wake up to that and then I have to go to work. You have severe intimacy issues, both physically and emotionally. The sex drive is not anywhere close to normal, not to mention that you feel like using ChatGPT to send a breakup text. The overall lack of effort is not normal. How you choose to spend your time is a serious problem. I was willing to make concessions and try to understand, but you should honestly probably seek treatment. I initiated an in person conversation out of respect last week about what I needed for this to work. I was fully going into it expecting to break up with you. What I asked for was so bare minimum, and you let me down majorly. I gave you a chance to bring anything serious like this up. I was receptive of your concerns, but you haven't been of mine. Obviously, you weren't forthcoming. So either you're a liar, spineless, or a coward. I'm going with all three. I asked three very simple things of you, and it seems that's what's put you over the edge. You realized this last week that you're unwilling to change your behavior, not as if I asked anything hard of you. You wanted to get ahead of me pulling the trigger because you knew you weren't willing to meet my needs. I truly was rooting for you, and you are by far one of my biggest disappointments.
Uh,
Just like Meryl Streep on Devil Wears Prada.
yes, Miranda Priestley, we love.
Yeah, I'm actually very nice. And, yeah, he never replied. But he most certainly likes to check my accounts. Probably doesn't know that I know that he checks my accounts. Not only does he doesn't check my personal accounts, but he most certainly checks the podcast accounts to see if
Hi,
it's been a
Kyle.
story. Yeah, so I hope that he enjoys. The funny thing is he's been shipped off to the Navy to be a diver for someone who doesn't go to the gym and
Okay. Oh my God.
will have to swim in the not so nice ocean and save other people when he
Oh my God.
probably can't even swim himself. So enjoy.
Oh boy. The best of luck to you, Kyle. You're probably gonna need it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think this is a good thing for him because at least it will get him out of bed.
Yeah. This will definitely be a change in his life. Maybe it will bring about other change.
Well,
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your most recent breakup, Jacob. Like I said, I really wanted you to tell this story specifically because we know that he'll be listening. But I hope that it was also cathartic to be able to just like get it off your chest too.
yeah, it was. I mean, I wasn't really planning on telling it.
Yeah.
That's not like a super duper exciting story.
It's
But
just a ridiculous one,
yeah,
an unraveled one, if you will.
sure.
Well, I think that we should wrap up your final episode with a little bit of a reflection on what this show has been overall for you. And I have a few questions if you're down for it.
Yes, let's do it. Before we start with your questions that I'm so excited about, I actually have one more detail that I want to add to this story.
Oh
So,
dear.
of course, I have like Tinder and the dating apps again, and I'm actively dating, and I run into Kyle's profile on Tinder like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah,
And I'm scrolling through it because I'm just curious.
of course.
Wipe left, of course, but the one thing, there's two things on here, okay, that I think are worth noting. Your first thing is he says, just seeing what's out there. I'm moving in a month. So, like, why are you on there? Number two, he only has one category selected of all the things that you can select of on Tinder. So, like, Tinder will have, like, if you smoke, if you drink, if you are religious, what your political affiliations are, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. He
Uh-huh.
has one selected. It's gym. And it says never. So my thought seeing that is I just started laughing because I was like, and you think you're gonna be a
The
Navy
Navy.
diver. Good luck, dude.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I just had to throw that in there. I wish him the best of luck. Okay, Abby, I'm ready for your questions.
Oh, okay. Best of luck to you, Kyle. Um, Jacob, take us back to the beginning of the show. What inspired you to start the podcast to begin with?
It was really with Zach because so as you know, Abby, I have a plethora of stories that are
Yes.
just crazy.
Hmm.
And my friend Zach in DC, where I met him, I was dating this really batshit insane individual, who was previously engaged to my friend Zach. And
And
Zach and
that's how you
I,
became friends.
yes, and that's how we became friends. That's actually our very first episode.
Hmm.
Um, it's wild. This guy literally used to beat Zach up, and I dated him, and it was an actual nightmare.
Hmm.
And so Zach and I thought we could totally entertain people with this. Like
Right.
we could just tell our stories, and that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah, so any of you listeners who maybe have popped in for a couple of episodes or started listening like further in, definitely go back and give those early episodes a listen, especially that first one. Um, and also, Zach, if you're listening, thank you for being part of the inspiration because the show has been so fun to not only tune into myself, but be a part of. So I'm glad that you guys were able to make something out of
Yeah, yeah.
it. Talk to me a little bit about um, impact that this has had on you. I'm really curious if there's been any unexpected results, for better or worse, of doing the show.
Yeah, that's a good question. Before really like diving into this and doing it, probably maybe 6 months into a year in, I legitimately had the delusion that I was the only person experiencing these major problems or people that were in my inner group.
Mm-hmm.
It is a widespread problem. Like everyone is being screwed over by everybody all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So that was kind of a good thing. It's not that it's a good thing, but it changed my perspective just because I kind of felt like, oh, like I'm being cursed or
Right.
there's
Yeah. Like
something set up
targeted.
against me and I am attracting all of these crazy people. Not that I don't, I most certainly do, but everybody else does as well. And it's a complete
Hmm.
normal thing. And so that really, that kind of helped with my perspective
Yeah.
to, because I used to be a very severe anxious attachment. I wouldn't say
Hmm.
severe, actually. I would say probably in the upper echelons. I
Always in the upper echelons with you.
and I still, I would say I have somewhat of an anxious attachment, but I think
Hmm.
that this process has actually brought me down to be more mellow. Uh,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So it's been a really validating experience to hear other people go through some of the same things or even crazier things and to find some kind of unexpected community in that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. I absolutely have to know what your favorite episode has been.
Ooh, all of mine. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Oh,
actually,
no, I'm
no.
sorry. Air my own dirty laundry for
No, I
everyone.
actually prefer not to tell my own. I only would tell my own if it's like I had somebody cancel or
Mhm.
something like that. I mean, I could, if I really wanted to, and I don't, if I wanted to keep this going, I could just keep it going off of my own for a little while.
A year, maybe at least.
Um,
Well, I am wondering if you want to share with the listeners. I can't remember if you have before, but if they are interested to hear more about your crazy experiences, where they might eventually be able to find those.
um, eventually, what do you mean?
You can too, but I'm talking about your memoir.
Oh yeah. So I have this book written. It's called Outer Darkness. It hasn't been released yet, but it's completely finished. I'm just waiting for the right time to
Hmm.
release it. It might be never. It might be sooner rather than later.
Who
It might be
knows?
when I'm on my deathbed. Who really knows? But yeah, you
But
can.
maybe the moral of the story is stick around, keep listening to the shows, old episodes, maybe follow Jacob a little bit, and maybe you'll get a more in-depth look at some of his life experiences someday.
Yeah. As far as my favorite episode that you asked about, I think the Magic Mike one was really fun. That one was so funny. Um, I can't remember what episode it is, like the number of it, but the title is like Magic Mike something. And
Hmm.
it's this girl who lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was so funny. I loved it.
Amazing. Magic Mike. Okay. And maybe kind of riding on the coattails a little bit of finding community and realizing you have more in common with people than you realized in the dating world. Do you have any final words of advice or words of wisdom through everything you've heard from others, through your own experiences? How do you suggest all of us out here still trying to date survive this climate?
Hmm. That's an interesting question because I feel like I'm still trying to survive the climate myself.
Yeah.
Um, I would say one of our episodes that we just had, I think it was last month, we had a relationship coach come on and she shared the advice to not compromise.
Mm,
And she doesn't mean not be flexible or work with people on issues,
right.
but she says do not compromise on these really big things because at the end of the day, if you're compromising, you're not getting what you want. And if the other person's also compromising, they're not getting what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's like angry at the end of the day. One of the examples she gave was her husband and her were in San Francisco for like their anniversary, and she really wanted seafood for dinner on
Mm-hmm.
the wharf there, and he really wanted In-N-Out.
Oh,
So
wow.
he literally went to In-N-Out and took his In-N-Out to the restaurant on the wharf so she could have her seafood.
Wow.
So it wasn't a compromise on
Mm-hmm.
either end. They ended up being able to communicate and get what they wanted, and be happy at the end of the day. So that's, I think, important because at least for me, I tend to compromise a lot. Like I kind of let people bend me
Mm-hmm.
and twist me in different ways. And I've actually been pretty good about not doing that lately, I think.
Yeah, I think you've definitely learned a lot and have applied that like new information or new insight. I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think maybe the show will come back one day. I have no idea. I'm just exhausted from it now.
Mm-hmm.
But an example I can give to you about this is this could be an entire episode on its own, is like the gay Mormons in Utah.
Right.
I have really stood my ground on these issues, and I'm pretty sure one of the ones that I just talked to and completely just shut down is like an escort for the leadership, but we won't get into that.
My God.
Um, yeah. So I am like, no, like if you are in that world and the whole thing, no, I'm not compromising with you on that.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
and that's your prerogative,
yeah,
as you know, the Queen, Britney Spears would say.
yes.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you, Jacob. Is there anything else that you want to say as a reflection on the show?
Um, just thank you to the loyal listeners. It was quite the journey. I did it for almost 2 years and I learned a
Mhm.
lot and was able to talk to a lot of people all over the country. Like I had people submit to
Yeah.
me that I didn't even know, and have no idea who they are even now. And they found the show and they submitted to come on to share their stories. Um, I think the main reason that I'm putting a halt to it is because it just didn't grow at the rate that I wanted it to. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is there's a lot of expectations that are placed upon podcasts right now. They practically want you to be a show and movie director.
Yeah,
And
like
you
you're
have,
expected to record video and post to YouTube and Instagram and Reels and like all of the things.
yeah, like all the successful shows, they have a studio that they build.
Hmm.
They have video, they have all of this equipment and everything. And if you don't, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Not saying that the show wasn't successful because it most certainly was. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's not like going at the rate that I would want it to, and it takes a lot of time and energy. And so,
Yeah.
um, just have to take your wins where you have them and your losses when you're dealt with them.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. It sounds like it's really hard to break through if you're trying to scale it.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get my energy revamped sometime. And
Yeah,
I
maybe you'll just have a little like hot boy summer and you'll be back with all the fresh stories. Who
I
knows?
hope not. I don't want any more stories. But yeah, who knows? I mean, for now it's like done and over with, but maybe I could come back someday with more stories. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can end it here. Thanks, Abby, for the questions and being a part of
Mhm.
the last episode. For the listeners, again, thank you so much. If you, I won't tell you actually my final pitch that I say on every episode because we're done. But yeah, thanks again, for everybody. And if you want to reach out or talk about anything, I'm always available.